Thanks for joining us today. I think the previous panelists have sort of set the bar very high. We've been hearing about AI all day long. AI is definitely changing the world, changing the economy, changing the way we think and evolve at a very rapid rate. In the sense that we seem to be constantly adapting to new things every day. Some time back, ChatGPT came about, then Google came up with Gemini, and then they said, okay, there's a new model called Go Banana, and then before we realized, China dropped a bomb called DeepSeek. Then while we recovered from it, as if Trump's trade tariffs were not, threatening enough, these guys dropped a new model. China dropped a new model, and then after that, Claude dropped a new model called Cowork, which made all the IT stocks crash. And I think we are in a situation where if there's a new model that these companies will come out, maybe they should call it Go Bonkers or something, because we are definitely going bonkers with all the new models that are coming up. We're not able to keep up pace with what's going on in the market. Now, as they say, US innovates, China replicates, Europe regulates, and India procrastinates. Now, that was the perception some time back, but it's slowly changing. As we all know, we did the UPI and Aadhaar, which is one of the best digital public infrastructure in the world, and most of the companies are waiting to copy what we did and trying to learn from us. So this, of course, we are still behind China and the US in the race for AI, but I think there's a huge opportunity with what we've already done in this space. That's why we wanted to call this session the Battle of Kalinga, because if you guys remember history, it's been one of the longest and bloodiest battle in the history of humankind. And this AI race that we're talking about is not going to end anytime soon. Every country is fighting for that top spot, and I hope India will get there very soon. Luckily for us, we have about, we are I think the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. We have about 2 lakh startups in India, out of which 2,000 of them are focusing on AI. They're building AI companies. And today, joining us in the panel are 3 founders of such AI companies who are going to discuss with us the challenges they face on a daily basis in building up an AI ecosystem. They are very much contributing to the Indian economy, Indian AI mission, and so on and so forth. So please join us in welcoming Vinay, Apurva, and Rajat. So in terms of, without further ado, maybe I'll just introduce their companies and just set the scene. So, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so basically Vinay runs a company called Atomic Loops. They focus on providing engineering services to high-end manufacturing companies, including semiconductor manufacturing, which is quite topical at the moment. Apurva runs a company called WebExpress, and he specializes in creating AI-based SaaS companies or solutions for logistics companies. He's also quite big into measuring carbon footprint in the manufacturing and logistics business, which is quite relevant because a lot of us are talking about building AI applications and spending on AI infrastructure, but nobody seems to be talking about green energy and green data centers. That is a bit of talk, but I think that's something that we can't ignore. And then we have Rajat, who's representing a company called EmergeFlow, which specializes in RPA and automation. So without further ado, I think we'll start the session. Maybe first question, maybe Vinay, you can help answer. Now, sure. United States has committed over $100 billion. I think the Stargate announcement itself is about $500 billion, where Oracle, OpenAI have all come together to start that initiative. Now, the question, Vinay, is India allocating enough? I think they've just allocated about maybe 10, 15 billion or something, which is a fraction of what US has allocated in terms of funding. But the question really is large-scale government funding really necessary for growth of the AI economy in India? Or do you think private sector companies can actually chip in and contribute?
So that's actually a great question, right? So all of these industries, when a new technology comes up, I think the primary use case is about adoption and kind of forcing it down various stages of all types of industries. When we look at AI, I think the primary concern right now is kind of enablement and applications of AI throughout all types of ecosystems and all types of industries. So I'll say primarily, in my opinion, India is placed at a very good conjecture because we have already worked with the world in building application layers of various technologies, be that in banking solutions, SAPs, be that in ERP systems, traditional automations, ERPs. We have built that for the world for multiple decades till now. I think that skill set is our biggest asset, even more than funding in like a pure dollar play figure. So one, we are very well positioned from a human resource standpoint. Second, when it comes to pure play capital, I think lesser capital is better towards the starting of new technologies, because it kind of forces you to be lean and focus more on ROI and kind of building sustainable solutions. Because a lot of these $100 billion plus companies out of the US are kind of not running in a very sustainable way as we look at it right now. So I think we don't really need large scale government funding. However, we do need a lot of regulatory support, some part of which we are already seeing right now.
I think most of these companies are chasing the valuation
Yeah.
game, right? Not trialing build. I think, but there are companies in India such as Zoho, which is
Yeah.
building for the world. You have Freshworks that is building for the world, already listed on NASDAQ and so on.
Because like the biggest part is, like the biggest part of the value chain is the application layer. So I
Correct.
think capturing that first is what we are doing right, and which is what we should do, which will then give us capital to move down towards the silicon energy layers to invest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think just on that, I think there are, for the uninformed, there are 5 layers. You start off at the base layer with the energy or power, and then you have the chips layer, which you know guys are familiar with the types of NVIDIA and Intel. And then you have the infrastructure layer, which is provided by the hyperscalers like AWS and Microsoft and Azure. And then you have the application layer on top. So India is known for building the application layer, and today government is investing a lot of money on the infrastructure and the chips and so on. But I think there is a bit of time before we get there, which is a good segue into, we were talking about Zoho and Freshworks. So Rajat, what do you think about, what is the thesis for Indian companies today? Are they building IP for the world, or do you think they're building solutions to solve local problems?
Yeah, so I think majority of the companies still, so this is more like a mindset shift that we are going to see, and it is not a temporary mindset shift that we are going to see. It's going to be much more sustainable than we would think. So the mindset shift from pure play services of choosing a problem, solving that for a custom solution, providing to a particular company, to building an IP of your own. I like giving examples. I'll give you an example of one of our clients who wanted to build a voice AI solution, right? So this is something new they wanted to try and all of that. We built it for them, and then at one point in time they realized this is not one solution or a single project that we are working in. This is an entire framework which needs to be built across various different industries. Then we partnered with them and then built the product, the framework for them. So this is kind of a shift from regular service-based projects, which a lot of Indian companies are being successful historically. But this is a shift from that to building their own IPs or products, I think.
Okay, but do you think eventually we'll get there, we'll move away from the application-based building to building something more scalable for the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hopeful that way.
Okay, good. So Apurva, the next one is for you. Talking about Indian enterprises building applications, what is the rate of adoption from a client perspective? Do you see enterprises still experimenting with AI? Are they still conscious of about their ROI, or are they actually moving stuff into production?
So I'll talk about the industry where I come from, logistics, right? It is one of the lowest rungs of the industry if you really consider that way. Let's say you compare to banking and finance or let's say investment banking. Logistics is like, okay, here and there was a gentleman from TCI who just got an award. He may not agree to that. We are very important to the nation. So this industry is also adopting. You will be surprised to see the level of engagement some of the owners have, especially the next generation of owners, in how they can use anything in technology and now especially AI to improve their very, very thin margins is extremely high. We are ourselves working with a company which is having about 500 vehicles, and he has put an AI-enabled camera in each of, or at least half of his trucks, where he wants to monitor in real time if a driver is wearing a seat belt or not. Now, this has become a very off-the-shelf technology. Point I'm making is that they want to invest in such things to reduce their insurance costs. Because if a vehicle is, driving and the driver is not having a seat belt, and that's proven by the vehicle's machine, which is easy today, the insurance company will not pay you. So it is in his interest to kind of use this kind of an AI. It's just an example. So we are seeing an adoption, definitely. It may not be widespread across the organization for each and everything they do. They are trying in some parts, right? And which part works best for them, they are trying to adopt. Of course, this being India, they would want to do it for the most economical price ever.
Yeah, I think we are known as a jugaad country, so we always spend little to experiment, and then if it is successful, I think we are willing to put in money. But then, Rajat, you working with a lot of Indian clients. In my experience of building AI solutions for clients in India, at best, I think we're able to charge 30, 50 lakhs for an AI solution, right? Maybe the US and UK customers are slightly willing to pay more. And you're working on overseas clients, you're working with Indian clients. What is the difference, and why do you think there's a big gap between what Indian customers are willing to pay and what the foreign customers are willing to pay?
So again, the previous point which I was trying to make, this the mind shift, right? So the companies overseas have a different mindset while investing in new technologies like AI, right? So there is in India often it is a lot about ROI or the kitna deti hai mindset, right? Whenever you buy a car, you look for the mileage.
Show me the money first.
Yeah, exactly. So this is different when you deal with the overseas clients. They are open to kind of experimenting. They are open to kind of see what kind of value these technologies bring, and then double down on the same investment that they have been making in the similar solutions. So that's preliminary a change. But again, having said this, I see that this particular thing changing a bit in recent times, because even Indian companies or startups who are innovating in different areas have started seeing the changes in the market or the technology very positively compared to what their counterparts used to see in past. So that's something which I certainly see changing.
Okay. I mean, since we are in a HR conference and a lot of HR professionals are here, maybe we can address the skills issue as well in India from an AI perspective, right? So maybe, Vinay, you can help answer this question. Do you think India's AI talent pipeline is deep enough for a global leadership? Or are we still going to continue exporting our AI talent for foreign companies to make money?
Oh, I think if you look at this, there are 3 stages, right? So the first stage is when you're like building the application layer. I think we are spot on. We are best positioned in the entire world to capitalize on this one opportunity. As far as what I'm seeing, India has the right balance of dedication towards software, dedication towards tech, and overall dedication towards education in the tech space. So I think a few years down the line, we might be ready to take on stage number 2, which would be more of infrastructure or model building strategies. So I think right now we are well positioned for applications. In future, I would love to see if we would get into the model building stage.
I think some companies funded by government are already doing that, right? So, Apurva, in your experience, do you always hire locally, or to build some of the models and stuff, do you go outside India because the talent is not available here?
No, we don't build models. We are nowhere near building models.
I mean, when I say AI applications.
Applications, yes. So on the talent side, we of course hire people in India. The world is hiring from India, so of course we also hire from India. On the talent side, something funny is happening. With AI coming in, we once upon a time, for example, needed, let's say, 10 people for testing our application. We'll teach them each one task, saying you do this, keep on doing repeatedly till the time you learn enough to become a next level guy kind of thing. AI replaces many of those roles. So suddenly the talent that we are looking for has become different. We are looking at people who understand technology and domain. That was always the case. But we also want to know people who have really experimented with AI on a real life basis. Not heard about AI or learnt about AI, or maybe their colleges taught them some program or some certification, frankly. In fact, my simple question to anyone who asks and says, I want to do a work with you, I say, so do you have subscription to ChatGPT? Or do you have a paid subscription to Claude? If he says, I'm not willing to spend $20 a month, then I don't hire him. Because that means he has not yet gone into the real world of AI. And if a talent is not recognizing that, that's not a talent that we want. We, of course, ourselves invest a lot on our own, no doubt. But we want to look at the mindset from the talent that they want to really invest into AI and really go and try themselves on a day-to-day basis so that they become useful to us. Of course, rest of the training, etc., can happen. But that's become a difference today. And why that becomes a problem for maybe the entry-level talent? Many of them, probably because they are looking for the first job, they will wonder, should I spend 2,000, 5,000, 6,000 rupees a month from my own pocket to even subscribe to some of these foundational models of ChatGPT or Claude? Do I have that kind of money? My strong advice to almost all of them is gather together 4 or 5 friends, $5 each per month. So go for it. Because without which it will be very difficult to show to someone that you really know AI.
Interesting. I think the $20, $30 is a price point today we are talking about, but it's only about to drop, right? Because as more and more companies launch these AI models, you can see that the cost arbitrage is there, and it's all coming.
In fact, it's the other way around. If you really want to use the powerful model of Claude 4.6,
you have to pay.
It's $100 a month. If you really are a power user, but imagine that's 10,000 rupees, even if I take 100 rupees a dollar. I think most of the interns today are, anyway getting 25, 30,000 rupees a month, at least, if not higher, if they are from any, good school. That's not too much of money, even at $100. But believe you me, $20 is your starting point, no doubt. Hopefully it will fall. What happens is it's not falling per se, it's giving you more for the same money. So if I could write, let's say, 2 hours of code with the earlier model of last year, I can probably now write 24 hours worth of coding, the same amount of money per month. So that way it is falling.
I think there's a lot of youth in this room and college students and so on. So it is a message for them, right? You may want to take the mic. It is a message for them because with vibe coding and everything else, the job opportunities that start is actually changing rapidly. And if the students are not equipped with the skills from an AI perspective, we may not be able to find the relevant job. So it is a scary thing, but like everybody else has been saying for long, if the students are equipped with AI skills, I think there is definitely an opportunity. So it's not so much the coding skills that is going to be in demand going forward, which Claude Cowork will probably do for us. I think it's the creativity and the business domain knowledge and all that people bring to the table is what is going to matter in the future. So just a word of caution for the students in this room. Speaking of universities and skills, so Rajat, what do you think if we have some sort of AI Action University set up? Do you think, which is basically a collaboration between academia and industry, where whatever practical applications that are required from a industry perspective is actually conducted in colleges? Because today most of the colleges are still teaching C and C++ in their MCAs, which is absolutely useless for companies like us. When we go out and hire people, these are the CVs that we are getting and we can't use them at all. So if we were to set up some sort of collaborative forum where both parties can come together, would you help set up that organization, and would you take people from such universities?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good idea. So we have been talking a lot about the jobs that AI is going to take away, right? So the managerial jobs, the operational jobs, and all of that. So AI is going to replace those jobs. But I mean, there is a deeper problem right there for the fresh graduates, right? So the kid who is in the second year of his engineering does not know what happens down the line 2 years when they reach their placements, or some companies come looking for them, right? So they do not know what's going to happen, and that's the kind of pace that we have for the entire technology. So I think I'd like to name this kind of a thing like an AI Gurukul kind of a thing, in a way where industry comes up, academia comes up, and of course the end beneficiary are the students who are going to get benefited from them. So even the talent gap that companies have, right? So companies nowadays, they are looking for something else, and academia has something very much different to offer, right? So this gap would be bridged by this, and I think this kind of an academic model clubbed with an opportunity to work in the real industry projects is something that would make a lot of sense. I would like to, there's a reference from Indian Army, right? So Indian Army has a scheme called Agniveer, right? So they pick up young talent like 18, 19, and then they train them, and then some of them who do well are kind of absorbed in the Indian Army again. So a similar way for young people who would want to progress their career in AI and in general technology, I would say, is really a good idea.
I guess you're not talking about, because internship as a practice already exists, right? After the colleges, students are coming into organizations such as ourselves. We train them for 6 months, 1 year, and then we try to absorb. We are trying something. Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you want to add some.
I'm going to be a bit unpopular for saying this. Complete waste of time. The world has changed. The erstwhile model where a student thought that some company will come and teach them, they will do an internship, they will learn the ropes, some senior will sit them down, explain how the world works, that's gone. Over. We are one of the regular recruiters from B schools and engineering colleges. Every year we recruit freshers. Believe you me, one single word I want from them. What have you done to learn about my company? Is a simple question I've been asking for last 15 years, right? Now, till yesterday, I can forgive them saying, okay, they do not have so much information, they are very young, how much they will know, they know about my website, I'm so happy. Today's world, if somebody walks in my room and he has not done his research on AI about logistics and about my own company, which will take him exactly 10 minutes of time while waiting for an interview outside, he's not fit for my organization. That's view of a company like mine, a small company in a corner of the world. Believe you me, that's increasingly becoming the view across the recruiting world, saying that you have got AI, you can learn everything any which way. In your colleges, you learn from YouTube channels. You don't really learn so much from your professors. You learn from your peer groups. Now with superpower at your hand, how long should it be for you to learn something before you enter for a prospective job or an internship opportunity? At least as of today, we see a big gap. The students' community is yet to learn that. And I'm very sure this is a matter of time, because as they will see this being asked over and over again by many companies, they will get there. But today, frankly, the erstwhile internship programs that we used to run, collaboration, etc., as on today, they are not working.
Thanks. Thanks, Apurva. I think there's a lot of takeaways for the colleges and students from what you're describing. I think switching gears to a bit, maybe to Vinay in terms of capital. Today, I think it's easy, if you have good ideas, it's easy to raise capital globally and of course in India as well. But if you don't change the valuation game, and if you're really building something to solve a particular problem and make the company profitable, obviously your BP and stress levels goes through the roof, right? Now in Silicon Valley, it's different. You can fail. There's a fail fast approach. You work on it for 2 years and 3 years. Nobody cares or talks about what the outcome is, right? But in India, you are looked from a different perspective. I think, for example, in Silicon Valley, they say failure is tuition. In India, failure is reputation. So the risk appetite is completely different. So what is your view? Sorry, what is your view on working on building solutions in India?
So I'll kind of go back to a point that we just discussed about India being a price conscious market, and that will lead me to this answer. So one, India is a price conscious market because we focus a lot on ROI. In my opinion, focusing on ROI is the safest way to stay grounded in a hype bubble. So AI right now is in like an adoption curve where it's like heavily being adopted. A lot of people who don't need AI are also trying to become AI first or AI native. According to me, a lot of these things are signs of an early stage of a bubble, which like goes up, and then there are various stages of that bubble. Now, a textbook characteristic of a hype cycle just starting up is basically that everyone tries to play the valuation game because it becomes cool to become a new AI player in a space where AI is dominating everything. So according to me, to answer your question around BP, around peace of mind, around like having a good night's sleep, I think it's very simple. Like, let's go back to the foundations of business. Let's focus on creating value. As long as you create value, a small part of it can always be set aside for innovation. It doesn't matter what kind of market you're playing in. It doesn't matter what kind of geography are you based out of. As long as there is value delivery out of that AI application, actual dollar figure value delivery, there is no problem for long-term longevity for that business. So I'll suggest even before like playing the valuation game, everyone should focus on the value delivery game. And then valuation multiples would then be based on the hype cycles, like where we are throughout it. So I think as a founder, that has been my focus since day one within my company. I'll say I don't have any BP issues as of now, which I think is a fair deal. Overall, this is something which everyone is passionate about. We are hardcore engineers, so we love doing this. And we love creating value, which then results into us playing into the valuation game.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Vinay. You answered my next question as well, which is going to be 5 years from now, what is that India should be building? So what you're saying is don't chase valuation, build something that is useful for the country and for the world. Thanks for that. Now I have a quick rapid fire question round. I'm expecting all three of you to answer that. So does India have an unfair advantage when it comes to AI? Unfair. What is the one unfair advantage that India has?
In human capital, yes. In innovation and risk appetite, no.
Okay.
The unfair advantage that India has today?
Yeah.
Population. I guess the sheer number of people who can make an AI engine learn. We are the only non-China country in the world, and China is closed. Why do you think Perplexity and Google are giving away AI free to Indians? If you have a Geo network connection, if you have a Airtel connection, you all know by now that you get Perplexity and Gemini for free for a good amount of time, worth about 4,000 or 5,000 easily rupees per month. Why? Why do they give it to you for free? Because these AI engines need to learn from a very diverse set of questions, queries, experimentations, knowledge, language, and who is open to give this amount of data very, very openly and easily. A young country, average age 25, 26 years of old, everybody ready to try, everybody has Gemini in their hand. You see the entire cricket broadcast with Gemini ads all the time, ChatGPT ads all the time. Why? Because we have the population which can provide the real data to the AI engines to really learn from it. The $65 billion being invested by the Googles of the world in Vizag and everywhere in India is not out of altruism. In USA, you got 250 million people. You've learned from that. And they are going to be very, very finicky about what you learn. The New York Times is going to sue you. In India, nobody's going to sue you. Have fun. Learn as much as you can. So I think that is an unfair advantage in a way we have, because in a way, we are getting it back by virtue of these models trying to give us some value back for free, etc., which application programmers like ours can use to create more value. How it will play out over time, time will tell. But I think we have that fantastic unfair advantage today, and we should leverage it.
So I guess we could produce as well as consume. Yeah,
so I think the unfair advantage, what I think for us is about the capabilities of Indian companies to deliver to the world, right? So we've been delivering solutions for last 30 years, 40 years, and all of that. So we know what exactly value. So this is a new technology. So there is always a change which is happening in the kind of a model that you work in. So, but still the capabilities of delivering a valuable solution stays the same. So that's something which acts in our favor, I think.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rajat. I think I'm conscious of time. I know how much we have. Maybe in terms of summary, I'd just like to say that India is planning to become a $30 trillion economy by 2047. I think we are about, what, 4-5 trillion now. It's a long way to go. And I think AI is definitely going to help us achieve that mission. But a lot of changes need to happen in the industry at the academia level as well. The jobs are getting changed. Skills have to be remapped. New skills has to be taught in schools and colleges. So I think there's a lot we have to do. More importantly, I think as HR folks, you guys need to sort of introduce the culture of innovation within your enterprises. But if you don't foster the culture of innovation, new ideas will never pop up from these companies and employees. So I sincerely request. We do. Yeah, just say that. Yeah.
And HR people need to invest those $20 for a lot of people. So I think
Absolutely. Otherwise, go back to your business heads and definitely ask for funding. $20 is a start, but if you want some real work to be done, it's going to be what, $100 you said, right? But I think it's worth it for organizations to embrace AI, give them the opportunity to understand what AI is today and where we need to get to, so that we can continue innovating. We're already innovating. I think we should continue innovating. And then in summary, I would like to say that the country that wins the AI race will not be the one who develops the largest or the cheapest AI model. It will be the country that can build something smart and efficient and that can deploy intelligence at national scale. And I think today we have that opportunity, and I want you guys to embrace that opportunity. Thank you. If you guys have any questions, we might have another minute for the panel.
Actually, what I wanted to say was for the students there. Indira? Is that Indira? Yeah, you made me get out of here and come there to ask you to not talk as much. There is a saying that Buddha said, the only learner is the one who's listening. It's not the person who's speaking. The speaker is the giver of knowledge. And I think of all the things that you've heard today, this was the panel that was dedicating a lot of its time for youth, for education, for skilling, the struggles of founders and the way that companies are looking at changing the way they will run interviews, and you missed it. And then you hope that leaders with 30 years of experience will come down to your college, give you individual time, stand there and speak to you. But when you have this opportunity, there is no listening. So before there is growth and before there is AI, I think you need to kind of fix the space here between the ears, because this is the most powerful space ever. Yeah? You want jobs and you want to become great, this is the space to focus on. So my recommendation is, when you get this opportunity to meet the kind of people that you're getting to meet here, please listen to them. You're not going to meet them at home. You'll meet them here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for that, Seema.
It's a lovely speech on listening. So can I join you all in clapping for our panelists and the moderator for a wonderful session?